right, hey everybody, it's Thursday morning and welcome to yoga. Find a way to start that honors the way that you're feeling right now energetically. So if it's kind of low on energy, you might begin in child's pose. If you're feeling very active already, you might start standing, maybe in a forward fold. We're somewhere in between sitting down. So last Tuesday morning, we talked about the yama, or the first limb of yoga. There's 5 yamas. They're sort of moral codes. Aparigraha, which is Sanskrit for non-attachment. And then yesterday in last night's class, we quoted Michelle Obama saying something to the effect of not waiting or not affording to wait for the world to see us as equals in order to start seeing ourselves as worthy of sharing our voice. And that sense of worthiness has to come from within and not from external approval or conditions. So I want to take the 2 themes and tie them in together, because I believe that letting go or non-attachment is also important in the yogic practice of seeing through the illusions of the mind, the thoughts that are created, and sometimes thoughts that we adopt from what others might perceive of us or what culture thinks we should be, how we should behave. So how do we bring that both together? I feel that in practicing awareness, like through meditation and awareness of how we react in physical postures in asana yoga, we have the ability to see through the mind stuff and remember that we don't have to choose to believe it. And then in not choosing to believe it is the act of letting go, of freeing ourselves. There's a quote in the Yoga Sutras that says, "The mind is the ground for both bondage and liberation." Reminding ourselves that we have a choice, and our ability to not let the mind make the choices for us regains our power as the soul, the one who is observing the mind, observing the body. So as we move through the physical practice today, I invite you to continue that practice of observing. Self-study is also one of the limbs of yoga. It's in the 2nd limbs. And finding ways that we can continue non-attaching, like non-attaching to the outcome of a physical pose, but being there with each breath, putting in the effort and letting go. So let's find a comfortable seat now if you're in a different position, and take a moment to shift around as needed, feeling into what your body's going to need today, if it's carrying any tension or clinging onto something emotionally, maybe a mental stress. And then as you regain an upright posture, maybe you close your eyes and tune into the way your body is breathing. So that in observing your breath with a sense of neutrality, you can kindly be aware of any times that you might be forcing your body into something, like when we're moving through the practice, or when perhaps you could use a little more effort, ignite a little more fire, Agni, or when you are maintaining a state of balance. So let's deepen the breath, deepen the exploration, breathing in through the nose, rooting through the sitting bones, breathing out through the mouth, lifting through the crown. Slower, deeper breaths, inviting awareness within the body. As we join the palms to meet at the heart, bowing in, clarify, if you have one, an intention for what you want to cultivate in this practice today. And perhaps bring into the rest of your day. Sealing that, feel free to join me in a chant of Om. Take a deep breath. And now closing the lips, breathe a little deeper into the belly so that you use the diaphragm, expand the belly and expand the lungs. And still just breathing through the nose, exhaling equal length through the nose. And now we begin Bhastrika Pranayama, which means bellows breath. It's a way to increase oxygen intake in the lungs, energize the body, as well as calm the mind. So to start, there's a kriya or action that physically goes with it. We begin with the elbows bent out to the sides, hands like fists. And as you inhale, you raise the arms and spread the fingers. And as you exhale, you rebend the elbows and refist the hands. And you're closing the eyes, closing the mouth, breathing through the nose, using the diaphragm rhythmically in and out like this. Full capacity in belly and lungs. So I'm going to watch the clock for 1 minute of that Bhastrika Pranayama practice. Let's prepare. Bend your elbows apart, sit tall, relax the shoulders, close the eyes, close the mouth, and begin. And relax. Just breathe naturally as you close your eyes and observe how you feel for a moment. Now, sustaining the breath equally, still through the nose, let's begin Ujjayi Pranayama, or victorious breath. We use this to create a sound that the mind can engage in and help to anchor it in the present, as well as warm up the body and keep the nervous system calm. So softly narrow the back of your throat, invite a gentle whisper, and track the quality of your breathing through that sound. So listening to that breath, let's come down onto all fours. So I invite you to grab your strap, which I did talk about preparing before I started this video. So you could pause it if you're watching the recording and grab something like a strap. But you want to create a loop in the strap that is taut, and if you stretch it across your shoulders, the diameter of that loop is almost your shoulder's width. So you're nearing the edge of the shoulders with maybe less than an inch. And then we'll loop our arms into the strap so that it's above your elbows, not on the forearms, but just on the upper arms, right above the elbow creases, making sure that the buckle is not pressing against your skin. And then just take a moment to extend the arms forward. So the purpose of the strap is going to be to prevent the elbows from splaying apart wider than your shoulders distance, thus helping to maintain integrity in the shoulders. So from here, as you sit tall, draw your shoulder bones back and press the shoulder heads down. Lengthen up through the sides of the neck and feel the natural curvature and length of your neck. Now, as you focus on the upper arms, rotate your triceps. It's the outer sides of your upper arms downward, as if you're trying to spin your palms to face up. So what you should feel here is the shoulder blades actually spreading wider across the back ribs. That action is called protraction. So that's another way to create shoulder stability. Now keep drawing the shoulder heads back into their sockets so they're not pulling out of them, and spreading the shoulder blades apart. Now just from the wrist, go ahead and turn your palms to face forward like you're saying stop or giving someone a high 10, and then spread your fingers on the ground so that your shoulders are directly above your wrists, pointing the index fingers forward so they're parallel to each other. Really spread the thumbs flat. So you're rooting down between the thumb and index intentionally. Now, to prevent pulling the shoulders out of their sockets, rebound your weight off the floor through your hands and see if you can create a lightness in the shoulders while rotating the triceps slightly towards the rear of your mat. It's the same two actions we just did sitting up. Broaden the shoulder blades to protraction. Now firm the lower belly. Have your knees directly under your hips. Now we're in a modified plank pose. We're gonna inhale, glide forward, keeping a feeling of a flat back. So try not to dump the belly, keep gazing ahead, long neck. And now exhale, bend the elbows to 90 degrees. So the strap will act like a cradle for your rib cage. Now stay here for just about 3 more breaths. Lift the lower belly, not letting it collapse. Lengthen the neck, gazing forward. Deep breaths, broaden the chest. Draw the shoulder blades back. And now on an exhale, firm your belly like you're doing a sit-up and slowly push up, then glide back to stack shoulders over wrists. So we're gonna do that 3 more times, really aware of keeping the feeling of a straight spine, even though it is curved, a flat back. So the belly is lifted, you're gazing ahead so that head doesn't drop. So we're doing yoga push-ups basically on our knees. Let's start. Shoulders over wrists, gaze forward. Inhale, glide forward as far as you can, belly stays engaged. Exhale, lower into Chaturanga Dandasana, that's halfway down. Feel the cradle, pause here, breathe in, engage the belly, push the floor away as you exhale to rise, and glide back to plank. 2 more, inhale forward, exhale lower, see your elbows bending right above the wrists. Inhale here, keep gazing forward from the belly. Exhale, press up and glide back. Last one, you might try with legs straight, firming the heels back, creating that long line from head to heels. Inhale, glide forward. Exhale, lower halfway. This is a pose in itself. It's called four-limb stack. Next, exhale, push up and glide back to plank. Now let's remove the strap and we're gonna use it to warm up the shoulders further. Sort of like shoulder flossing. You're gonna hold it between your hands so your hands are wider than shoulders distance apart. Arms are straight, shoulders stay relaxed away from the neck, spine is tall, breathe in, raise the arms overhead. Breathe out, circle the arms behind you and all the way down. If you're not able to lower the arms, separate the hands wider apart. Inhale, lift the arms. Exhale, lower them forward and down, and keep going about 9 more cycles of breath. Inhale up, exhale down. If it's too easy, you're not feeling much of warmth happening in the shoulders, walk your hands closer together. But making sure you're not bending the elbows nor shrugging the shoulders, especially when the arms rise. Now, those of you who are very flexible in your lower backs, make sure that you're not protruding your front ribs forward as you raise the arms overhead. Be mindful of hugging in the bottom of your front ribs, visualizing melting them downward towards your pubic bone. Let's go for about 4 more cycles of breath. More. And giving them a dynamic stretch. All right, finishing this round. Let's come to stand at the top of your mat, but put the strap near the top of your mat. Come into a forward fold with your feet a little wider than hips width apart. Parallel your second toes. If you have yoga blocks, you may want to frame your feet with them outside of your mat. Now, as you shift a little more weight forward, let it get heavier on the balls of your feet. Come up halfway into Ardha Uttanasana. Fingertips are on the ground ahead, or they're on your legs, just not pressing into your knees. Now here, recreate that feeling of plank in your torso. Firm the lower belly, Broaden the chest forward, look ahead of you on the floor, and spread the shoulder blades apart, lengthen the neck. Also feel the fronts of your thighs, your quadriceps engaged. Take another deep breath. Keep all this length in the spine and exhale, fold from your hips. It might require bending the knees. Firm down through the feet. Inhale, sweep the arms overhead, mindful not to shrug the shoulders as you watch your palms touch. Exhale, trace your thumbs down the center line of your body. Moving to breath. Inhale, sweep the arms overhead, look up. Exhale, bow forward. Press the ground of your legs. Inhale, lengthen forward. Feel plank here. And then lower your hands, step into plank. Let's hold plank for 3 breaths. Now you could have your knees down or your legs straight, but you're maintaining that feeling of a flat back as we lower. Feel the triceps rotate back for traction in the shoulder blades, lifting the lower belly. Exhale, glide forward. Bend the elbows back. Feel the imprint of having that strap around your upper arms. Then come all the way down. Point your toes firmly on the mat so the knees are not collapsed on the ground. And inhale to cobra pose. Take a few breaths here. As you firm down through your toenails, through your pubic bone, feel the length of your lower back. Concentrate lifting your chest from right under your shoulder blades as you draw the shoulders down. Take another breath in, still hugging the elbows close to your sides. Then tucking your toes, press back through the heels or lower the knees for support. On an exhale, engage the belly like you're doing a sit-up and press up into plank pose. Lifting the pelvis, draw the hips back into downward facing dog. Now take about 5 breaths here. You can either be still or shift around to warm up in this position as you like. Warming up might include pedaling the feet to stretch into your hamstrings and calves, or moving the head around gently to help loosen up your neck and jaw. Rebalancing the sound of your breath. Bend both knees, lift the heels high and gaze forward past your hands. At the end of your out breath, try holding the breath and think of lifting your pelvic floor while you engage the belly to help you walk or lightly jump to the top of your mat. Breathe in, press with the fingertips to lengthen forward. Feel plank here. Exhale, fold. Firming down through your feet, inhale, sweep the arms looking up. Shoulders remain relaxed. Exhale to gather at your heart. Now let's flow continuously 2 more rounds of Sun Salutation A. Inhale, sweep the arms up in Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, bow in Uttanasana. Inhale to Ardha Uttanasana, plant the hands. Step the opposite foot back first, if you remember which. And exhale as you glide forward, pass through that imprint of Chaturanga Dandasana, then lower all the way down. Firm down through the tops of the feet, inhale to Cobra, hugging the elbows close to you. Tuck the toes, engage the belly, press up through plank, then lift the tailbone back. Downward facing dog. Let's take about 5 deep breaths. Feel the space you allow in your neck and shoulders by rotating your triceps towards the ground. The same action we've been practicing already. Protract the shoulder blades apart. Rebounding your weight off the floor through your hands. Lift the shoulders back. Gaze on the mat, almost towards your feet. Now bending the knees, lift your heels high, gaze forward. At the end of the exhale, hold the breath out and lightly land at the top of your mat. Breathe in to lengthen forward. Exhale, fold. From down, inhale, rise up, gaze up. Exhale, back to the heart. 1 more, inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, bow forward. Inhale, lengthen halfway. Plant the hands, step the opposite foot back first. Exhaling as you lower. Stamping the imprint of Chaturanga. This time, lower all the way or flip the toes. Keep the tops of the feet firmly grounded as you coil the chest into upward facing dog. If you have no lower back issues, that's a good option to go deeper. And then lift the hips back, downward facing dog. 3 to 5 breaths. So now let's really focus on stillness. Releasing any fidgeting within a pose helps to sharpen mental focus. as well as steadying the gaze and steadying the sound of your breath. Firming your outer hips towards your midline. Balance the height of left and right hips while you inhale to raise right leg back. Pause here for a moment. Draw your left outer hip back to help lengthen the left side of your torso equal to the right. See your right toes flexing to face the floor. And feel even weight through both hands. Take another breath. Exhaling, bend your right knee towards your nose, rounding the spine as you come forward to plank. Lightly land the right foot behind your right wrist. Not all the way forward. Spin the back heel down so you're slightly turning out the left foot, and see that your feet are your hips width apart. Grab your strap as you're down there. Bring your hands to your hips. Engage the belly and the fronts of your thighs. Then lead with your chest and inhale to slowly rise. Setting up for pyramid pose. So you want a shorter stance than you would if you were in Warrior One, in which you can evenly weigh down through both feet while keeping the legs straight and your hips equally facing forward. Then take hold of your strap in your left hand, and if you don't have a strap, it's okay. I'll show you how to modify. Raise your left arm, bend the elbow behind the center of your head so that your left palm lands between your shoulder blades. Now, if you don't have a strap, catch hold of your shirt there. Reach the right hand underneath, either holding the strap or your shirt, and walk your hands as close together as you can. If your hands can meet to clasp, then you can let go of the strap. Then spread your toes and firm down through the entire soles of your feet, engaging the fronts of your thighs as though you're drinking energy from the earth below, enlivening your legs. Firm the belly, broaden the chest, and slide your shoulder blades down your back. With an inhale, lift your heart and gaze up. Keep firming the belly. Exhale, bow 1/3 of your range, hinging from your hips. Pause there. Inhale, lengthen the spine some more. Feel the stability of your legs as you draw the right outer hip slightly back. Exhale, fold another 1/3. And just like that, keep going, holding the last 1/3 for a few more breaths. Now, as you're folding, be mindful not to close the passageway for your breath at your throat, honoring the natural space between your chin and your chest. Imagine there's a string pulling your sternum at the center of your chest past the front edge of your mat. So even your heart space is slightly lifted as you bow. Let's take 2 more breaths in Utthita Parsvottanasana. From here, keep firming through the legs. Inhale, lift your spine parallel to the floor. Let's prepare to twist and revolve triangle. Lower the left fingertips either on the left side of your front foot, maybe on a block, or for deeper twists, on the right side, the outside of your front foot. Using your right thumb, hook the crease of your right outer hip and draw it back to re-level your pelvis. Breathing in, firm down through both feet and elongate the spine down the midline of your mat. At your waistline, exhale, turn your chest to face the right wall, little by little, breath by breath. So the pace at which you enter or actually deepen the asana or pose is what allows space to be aware of where you might be pushing too far, and maybe allowing the ego to lead towards a certain expectation, or where it might feel stagnant. Perhaps the ego is causing self-doubt or fear, or where you're balancing and listening to your body's wisdom. Let's take 2 more breaths here in Karita Trikonasana, revolved triangle pose. Now look down at your right foot, lower your hands flat and step back to plank pose, top of a push-up. We're going to take 1 yoga push-up together. Imagine the strap preventing the elbows from splaying wider than shoulders width. Take an inhale and glide forward, keeping the neck long, the belly lifted. Exhale, hug the elbows to bend 90 degrees right above the wrist. Pause here. Breathe in, firm the heels back if the legs are straight. Exhale, engage the belly to push up and lift back. Downward facing dog. Breathing in, breathing out. Calm breaths. Now keeping your hips squared, inhale, raise the left leg behind you. Let's pause here. As you flex the foot, see the toes facing the ground. Tack your right outer hip back in an effort of equally lengthening both sides of your torso. From down through both hands, take another breath. Exhale, bend the left knee towards your nose, round forward into plank. Then softly as you can, set the left foot behind your left wrist. See that your feet are hips width apart as you turn out the right foot slightly to drop the heel. Reach for your strap if you have one. Then bring your hands to your hips and firm the fronts of your thighs, your belly, leading with your chest. Inhale to rise. Do you want to have a stance that's not too wide, where the back foot is too far back, so that you can equally weigh down to both feet, turn both hips forward, and straighten the legs. Now let's raise the right hand holding the strap. Bend the right elbow behind the center of your head so the palm lands between your shoulder blades. Reach the left hand underneath and catch the other end of the strap or your shirt and walk your hands as close together as you can. If your hands can clasp, you can drop the strap. Now let's reestablish the base. Spread your toes and your weight through the four corners of each foot and engage the front of your thighs. Drinking energy from the earth up. Firm the belly in, broaden your chest, and inhale, lift it as you slide the shoulders further down. Exhale, hinge forward from your hips, just 1/3 of your range, then pause. Grounding through the feet, inhale, lengthen the spine some more. Exhale, hinge, another third. And then keep going, mindful of how you're maintaining the most space throughout your spine, especially throughout your neck. Opening your throat and broadening, slightly lifting your chest. Remember that imaginary string pulling your sternum past the front edge of your mat. Let's take 2 more breaths. Still firming the legs and belly. Inhale, lift your spine parallel to the floor. Lower the right fingertips either on the right side of your left foot or, to go further in the twist, on the left, outside of your left foot. Use your left thumb and hook the crease of your left outer hip, drawing it back just enough to rebalance the 2 hips. Firming down through your feet, lengthen your spine forward down the center line of your mat as you breathe in. Now at your waist, exhale, twist, turning the chest to face the left while little by little, inhale to lengthen the spine and exhale to deepen the twist. Raising the left arm, open the left side of your chest. Let's take 3 more breaths here in revolved triangle pose or Parita Trikonasana. Look down at your foot, set your 2 hands on the ground, and let's come on to hands and knees this time for forearm plank. We did have a request for some upper arm strength building. So let your elbows drop to the floor, exactly your shoulders distance. Again, remember the imprint of the strap, preventing the elbows from splaying. You can either have your palms flat, forearms parallel, but if your mat is slippery, I invite you to interlace your fingers so that your outer wrists root down into the floor. You have a triangular base. Now keep your gaze forward towards your thumbs or in front of them and broaden the chest. Remember that string pulling your sternum? Keep that visualization as you straighten the legs and bring your feet together to touch. Then actively press the heels back and engage the fronts of your thighs while lifting the lower belly. Draw your tailbone downward towards your inner heels. Spread the shoulder blades apart. Feel a sense of rebounding your weight off the floor through your forearms, which creates space in the shoulder joints, as opposed to collapsing your weight, which actually feels like you're shrugging the shoulders. It's heavy in them. We've got 3 more breaths. Raise the right toes, flex the foot just a sliver off the floor, and keep your hips leveled. Now switch, lower the right toes, raise the left toes, flexing the foot just slightly off the floor, keep the hips level. Lower the left toes, and slowly lower the knees, lower the pelvis. Rest your forehead on the ground for one round of bound locust pose. Reaching the hands behind your back, interlace your fingers. Keeping your ankles no wider than hips distance, point your toes so much that you're able to lift the legs off the floor, and then reach the knuckles of your hands towards your heels, coiling your chest up. Count 5 deep breaths. So as you gaze on the floor ahead, rather than up, try not to strain your neck. Lengthen the back of it and soften the tops of your shoulders down. In an effort to parallel your feet, think of spiraling your inner thighs towards the sky. Feel the collarbones broaden like a wide smile. Finishing your round of 5 breaths. Take one breath in cobra or upward facing duck, and we'll meet in downward facing duck. Breathing in, breathing out. Bend your knees, lift your heels. At the end of your exhale, lightly land your feet at the top. Breathe in to lengthen forward. Breathe out to fold. Now, if you do have blocks, go ahead and set them in front of your feet about a foot and shoulders width apart at their tallest height. If you don't have blocks, we can make do. As you bring your feet together to touch, bend your knees together to touch in chair, and shift a little more weight back towards your heels, joining your hands at your hearts. We're going to open up the hips here. So shifting your weight onto your left foot, turn out your right leg from the hip, flex your right foot off the floor, and cross your right ankle over your left thigh like a figure 4 shape. As you steady your eyes on the ground ahead, deep breaths, begin to sink your hips equally behind you, like you're sitting in a tiny chair that's way far back. Now that flexing of the right foot is to help stabilize your right knee joint as we turn out the thigh at the hip. Now, if you feel like your right hip is ready for the depth of it, you can lower your fingertips down onto the blocks, lower the blocks, or lower your fingertips on the floor. Still trying to equally draw the sitting bones back and firm the belly towards the back. Let's take 3 more breaths here. This is a preparation for the arm balance called flying single pigeon, but let's just use it as a hip opener for now. One more breath. Great. Set up your blocks for side 2. Join your hands at your heart. Press into the ground and inhale to rise up. Exhale to step the right foot down. If your left leg needs some movement, you can circle the foot, shake it out. And then come to stand about a foot away from your blocks with feet touching. Bend your knees to touch. Come into chair or Utkatasana. Joining your hands at your heart, steady your gaze on the floor ahead and shift your weight onto your right foot. Turning out your left leg from the hip, flex that foot and cross the ankle over your right thigh. Splaying the left thigh open, imagine your 2 sitting bones equally dropping behind you very slowly as you breathe. So as you take your time, allow the sensations to guide you to just the right balance of depth. If it's calling for it, you might lower your fingertips to add even more depth. You might lower the blocks. You might reach for the ground. Keep flexing the left foot. 3 more breaths. Belly is firming towards the back rather than resting on your right thigh. Now, firming down to the right foot, join your hands at your heart. Breathe in. Exhale, rise up. Step your left foot down and maybe shake it out. Now let's take the 2 blocks with you as you turn to face the wide width of your mat, standing at the center. Open your arms wide and step your feet as wide apart as your wrists, setting up for Warrior 2. Place your blocks on their tallest height behind your calves. You only have 1 block. Start with your left calf. So I'm mirroring you as I face you directly. From your hips, rotate your legs so that you pivot both of your feet, and facing your left foot, it becomes your front leg. For me, that's the rear of the mat. Then bend your left knee to stack just above the heel as you align your left heel to the arch of your right foot. See that your right knee and toes are slightly pointing towards that front leg. Now bring your hands to your pelvis and feel the shape or the bowl shape of it. Orient upright, encouraging your tailbone to draw down and your frontal hip bones to slightly lift as you engage your lower belly. Turning your chest completely to face the wide width of your mat, open your arms and restack your wrists above your ankles. Then now you've created the form. Drop into the feeling of Warrior 2, that of grounding. Feel the earth beneath both feet, of focus as you sharpen your gaze, yet soften the muscles around the eyes, and define balance in the sound of your breath. Let's take 4 more breaths here in Virabhadrasana 2.
Connected to the core, my root, reach deeply. I am to the core, connected to the core, my root.
Now, as you firm down through both feet, straighten your left leg, and to prepare for triangle pose, you might want to shorten your stance about 2 inches to help stabilize. Engage the fronts of your thighs, and sideways, glide your pelvis towards your back leg. Reach your left hand past your front knee and lower it onto your leg, or to the left, just outside of the leg where you might use a block. But you want to have your arm and leg, or the block and your leg, firmly against each other. As you continue to rotate your left outer hip slightly under your body. And now add reaching the tailbone back towards your right outer heel. As you raise the right arm, feel light weight through that left hand. So you're not collapsing all the way down, but you're lightly pressing off of where it's landed to create even more spaciousness. Gaze might be up towards the right thumb, or wherever it feels okay for your neck. Let's take another 3 breaths here in Utthita Trikonasana, triangle pose. So now we have the form. Feel the energetic quality of the posture. Expanding and grounding. Let's begin to move into half moon, balancing in the same shape, but you might help the transition by lowering your right hand into your right hip. Steady your gaze on the floor ahead of your left foot. Bend your left knee, crawl your left fingertips, maybe with your block, forward of and to the left of your left pinky toe. Drag your right foot forward and flex that foot as you raise the heel about the height of your hip, turning the chest open again to face the same side wall. Now feel how you continue to wrap the left outer hip under your body and direct your tailbone actively towards your right lifted heel. You might explore raising the right arm or looking up. Another 3 or 4 breaths. An Ardha Chandrasana, half moon pose. Now, taking your time in the transition, bend your left knee, look down, slowly land the right foot back to Warrior 2. And let's straighten both legs, pivot your feet to face the wide width of your mat. From here, rotate your legs and pivot both feet to face the opposite edge of your mat, looking at your right foot as your front foot. Align your right heel to intersect the arch of your left foot. Have a wide enough stance so when you bend your right knee, It lands directly above the heel, and when you open the arms, they stack directly above your wrist. Now feel your right outer hip slightly rotate under your body. As you firm the top of your left thigh bone back towards the wide width of your mat. Pelvis upright, engaging the lower belly, broadening the chest, but relaxing your shoulders. As you tune into your breath and steady your eyes, feel again the energetic qualities of grounding and focus in Virabhadrasana 2. Firming down to both feet, straighten your legs for triangle. You might want a slightly shorter stance. Engage the fronts of your thighs and slide your pelvis sideways towards your back leg. Reaching the right hand forward towards your front leg, then down. So your hand lands either on your leg or to the outside, the right side of it, maybe on a block, where arm and leg can firm against each other, creating even more stability as you rotate your chest to slightly face the sky. Feel no impingement in the right hip or right side of your torso because you're rotating the right outer hip under your body and lengthening your tailbone actively towards your left heel. Remember that you could raise the right fingertips higher than where you've initially landed it to allow more space in that right side of your torso. Let's take 3 more breaths here in Upita Trikonasana. Now let's prepare for half moon. Take a look at the floor and steady your gaze ahead of your right foot. You might like to place your left hand on your left hip to help you transition. Bend your right knee and steady your breathing. Walk your right fingertips, maybe with a block, forward and to the right of your right pinky toe. Drag your left foot forward and flex it as you lift it off the floor, about the height of your hip. Keep rolling the right outer hip under your body and drawing the tailbone back towards your left heel. As you open your chest to face that side wall, you might explore raising the left arm. Maybe gazing up for the last 3 or 4 breaths. In Ardha Chandrasana, half moon pose. Taking your time to transition to Warrior 2, look down ahead and rebend your right knee, softly stepping the left foot back. Nice, and once there, straighten the legs and pivot both feet to face the wide width of your mat. We're gonna come into a twist and flow. So parallel the feet in this wide stance, engage the fronts of the thighs, you could bend the knees. Open the arms wide and lengthen your spine as you breathe in. Twist across your waistline and fold towards your left leg, maybe catching the outside of it. Then inhale, rise up again, and exhale, twist to the other side and fold. Keep going, at least 2 more on each side. Inhale up, exhale, twist and fold. Inhale up, exhale, twist and fold. Last round on both. Inhale up, exhale, twist and fold. Inhale up, exhale, twist and fold. Inhale up, and let's step up to the top of your mat. Bring your feet to touch. Inhale, raise the arms overhead. Exhale, bow forward. Inhale, lengthen halfway up. Exhale, fold. Now keeping your feet together to touch, crawl your fingertips about a foot in front of your toes, shoulders width apart. Bending your knees like chairs, splay the knees apart so the inner feet still touch, and begin to sink your pelvis back. Crawl the arms forward like child's pose, bowing towards the floor as you draw your hips back. For a lower back stretch, a hip opening. Now you could choose to stay here for several more breaths or use this as a transition into crow, an arm balancing pose. If you want to try crow, walk your hands back so they're flat on the floor, about a foot in front of your toes, shoulders distance apart. Think of your arms like we've been practicing those yoga push-ups. They stay parallel, and when you bend them, the elbows become 90-degree angles just above your wrist, or somewhat like that. Hollow your belly, lift the pelvis high, you're on the balls of your feet. Bend the elbows back like chaturanga to start, creating an elevator out of your upper arms for your knees to press off of. Then gaze past your fingertips at least 2 feet ahead and use that to pull your sternum forward with that imaginary string we played with earlier. Hollow the belly, spring your weight off the floor to your hands, off your upper arms to through your knees, and steady your eyes and breath. Whether or not your feet or one toe lifts off the floor, let that be irrelevant. The process is here, breath by breath. Trying something that might be new or scary, or just feeling into what arises. When you decide to come down, let's meet sitting down all the way onto the pelvis. Splaying out your knees in Baddha Konasana, bound angle pose. So bring the soles of your feet to touch. You might catch hold of your big toes or your outer feet to bring the heels close to your pelvis. And then press down to your pelvis, lift up through the chest, and extend your heart forward to fold for a few breaths. Baddha Konasana. Now you could also choose to walk the hands forward and use that to also help root down the sitting bones while elongating the spine from it. Feel the broadening of space across your lower back. You might visualize breathing into that area. Last 3 breaths. Lifting from your chest first, breathe in to slowly rise up. Let's come down onto the stomach, lying face down, preparing for our last active back bend, bow pose, Dhanurasana. So rest your forehead on the floor, bring your knees as close together as you can, and then bending your knees with your hands, catch hold of your outer feet. Having the knees no wider than hips width apart, kick your legs towards straight while you pull your feet towards your pelvis. Using that to lift the knees and then coil your chest up without straining the neck. Look slightly down ahead and give yourself at least 5 more expansive breaths as back bends like these help to expand the capacity of your lungs, as well as relieve tension along the tops and fronts of the shoulders. Dhanurasana, bow pose. And when you feel like you're done, you might like to make a pillow for your head out of your forearms. And you might even like to loosen up the lower back by either shimmying your pelvis side to side or bending the knees and windshield wiping your shins together, left and right. Take a slow breath and fill up your belly. Through the mouth, side out. Twice more, inhale into the belly. Exhale through the mouth. Again. Now place your hands alongside your floating ribs. Press down through your knees, scoop the belly in. Remember those push-ups earlier? Lift up to all fours. Now let's take a counter stretch for the backs of the shoulders. Set your wrists a couple inches ahead of your shoulders to give the spine a little more space for the twist. Inhale, raise the right arm up high, opening your chest. Exhale, thread the right arm, palm face up, underneath your left bent elbow, and thread the needle. Rest the right side of your head all the way down, and if it doesn't comfortably rest on the ground, place something under your head like a yoga block. Now level out your 2 hips so that left hip is not creeping closer to your left shoulder. And then allow the twist to happen mostly across your waistline as you rotate the rib cage. Relax the shoulders away from the neck. And feel your breath expand, especially into your upper back. Let's take 2 more breaths. At the end of the exhale, press into the ground and slowly rise back to all fours. Second side, inhale, raise the left arm and open the chest. Exhale, thread the arm under your right bent elbow with your left palm face up. Lower the left side of your head all the way down, maybe using a prop. Balance out your 2 hips and allow the twist to happen at your waist. Broadening across the upper back, slide your shoulders down it. Feel your body here for 2 more breaths. And at the end of your exhale, let's slide into child's pose. Bringing your feet together to touch. Feel free to separate your knees as wide apart as needed to relax the pelvis down to your feet. You might like to actively stretch the arms forward to feel more length in the spine, especially the lower back. Feel space throughout your neck. Then slowly walk your hands back to meet the outsides of your knees. Tuck your chin to your chest. And as you inhale, roll the spine slowly upright. Extend your legs in front of you for Paschimottanasana, a seated forward fold. To separate your feet, hips distance apart, and flex them. If you're going to use a strap, place them around the balls of your feet and use enough slack so your shoulders can stay rested away from the neck. From down to the sitting bones, lift up from the bottom of the spine and broaden your chest, exhaling to hinge forward, inhaling to pause, ground and lengthen. Taking your time. So if you're not holding a strap, catch hold of your legs, backs of them or your ankles, or clasp your big toes with your index and middle fingers. Remember that imaginary string pulling your sternum past the front edge of your mat? Feel that here as you send your shoulders slightly behind you and away from the neck. Let's explore for the last 2 breaths. Leading from your sternum, inhale, lift your spine. Now bending your knees, scoot your pelvis towards the middle of your mat, bring down to your feet and extend the arms forward with the palms face up. Take a deep inhale, then several breaths. Just carefully and slowly lower your back and head to the ground. Core stability. Once your head meets the earth, find a relaxing way for just 1 minute or less to raise your legs up higher than your heart, as effortless as possible. So if you have a wall, you could scoot up again, so you could take the legs up the wall pose. Focus here on deepening your exhales slower than your inhales, calming the nervous system more deeply. You might also add breathing out to your mouth, cooling your body down. If the mind needs a task, try counting. 5 counts to breathe in, 7 counts to breathe out. Begin a transition towards Shavasana with any last posture like happy baby or hugging the knees tightly towards. And then gently lay your body to rest, committing to a few minutes of being still, being aware, present with your natural breath. As you continue to tune into your breathing, just as it is, feel your body's response to your physical practice. Gently begin to wake it up with small movements like rolling your feet, circling your hands, turning your head. Easing into a stretch, you might raise the arms overhead and point the toes. Gather your knees into your chest and turn over to your right side, resting your head. And with eyes still closed, focusing your attention inward, slowly lift your body up and find a comfortable seat. For 1 brief minute of meditation in stillness. So as you sit tall, feel the ground underneath and lift up, chest open. Let your hands rest in your lap, in which you might bring the thumb and first finger to touch. Just allow your breath to flow naturally. Even allow your thoughts to flow naturally, remembering that you are observing them. Using the feeling of your breath to regain perspective, that you are observing your thoughts, yet you are not your thoughts. 1 minute here. Breathing in, feel your heart space rise. Opening the lips, hear your breath. Let's join the palms together at your heart. Bowing in, reflecting on the intention that brought you here. And now perhaps how you can continue to bring the effects of this practice into your day. Spreading the love. Let's close, joining in one chant of Om. Take a deep breath. The light in me bows to the light in you. Namaste.